Good Morning America, GMA. I never watched that show, but I know a lot of people do. Good Morning America, a field reporter in San Francisco, comes right out and says, we're not going to film live in downtown San Francisco, specifically Tenderloin area, because it's simply too dangerous. Why am I dedicating a podcast to this? The vast majority of media that we see looks the other way. Nothing to see here. San Francisco's fine. Big city problems. We've had problems for years. Nothing new. You're getting to the point where media is like, yeah, I don't think so, including Good Morning America. Let's get into it. Let's see what we've got going on in San Fran. Here we go. Politicians in California, including the governor, are stating that the crime statistics in San Francisco, they're down. Criminal activity is down. It's because nobody's reporting it. Do not believe that crime statistics are down, because they're not. Just people have given up. They're like, well, nothing's going to get done. I can either spend my time doing something productive, or I can, call the police and we'll do a whole report thing. I spend hours and hours and hours, go through all this song and dance. Nothing's going to happen. So why would businesses report break-ins? Why would businesses report thefts? Why would homeowners report, graffiti, break-ins, robberies, assaults? Nothing's going to happen. So, this misnomer of criminal activity, things are calming down. And then you got Good Morning America. God, it is too dangerous. It's bad. It's not good. It's just so wild. Let's take a quick peek at the clip. Okay, here we go.
The mayor noting that several metrics of crime are actually flat or down, but it is worth mentioning that we are not at Union Square or the Westfield Mall this morning because we have been advised it is simply too dangerous to be there at this hour. Michael.
Oh, that's saying a lot there, Matt. Thank you so much for that.
So the reporter was covering the closing of the Westfield Mall, which I've covered here. And he was talking about, we're not in the Union Square. We're not in the Westfield Mall area because, it's too dangerous. And invariably they give the, crime statistics are up just a little bit, just a scooch. And in reality, here's the thing. All these businesses, these malls wouldn't be closing down if things were good. If you had lots of foot traffic, if people weren't afraid to go shopping in San Francisco in this area. I think there are other areas of San Francisco that look like percentage-wise occupancy in the commercial sector. They're doing really well. It's just when you've got proximity to the Tenderloin, which is an open-air drug market, that's when things get a little hairy. In Seattle, your proximity to the Blade kind of reflects, this may not go well for you. Just a couple of days ago, we had a 38-year-old woman get murdered on the streets right by the Blade in Seattle. 4th and Lenora, some whacked out guy that just rolled in from Illinois, a convicted felon with a gun, stolen gun, walked up and fired 4 rounds point blank and murdered the woman who was pregnant with an 8-month-old baby. Woman died, and they took the baby and they were able to hand the baby to the dad for a little bit before the baby died. That's some gnarly stuff, just totally unprovoked because of drugs. People are whacked out of their mind on drugs and they're doing crazy stuff. The guy that did the murder here, the alleged murder, let's go that route. He claimed that the reason he went up and with arm extended and cranked off 4 rounds into a white Tesla was that they were aiming a gun at him. It's like these people are out of their mind on drugs. And so, news crew? How many news crews have we had robbed in San Francisco? Multiple. I've done at least 1 or 2 podcasts on that very topic. So this reporter is like, yeah, we would go to the Westfield Mall. It's 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. I don't know what day it was, but it's 4 a.m. on a Tuesday, and it is not safe there. We have been told, do not go there. This is a news crew, right? I mean, they're used to going into hairy spots. You want to talk about hairy spots? Follow Jonathan Cho around on his Twitter account. That guy goes into the heart of the beast, right? A couple of reporters down in Portland that do the same thing. You're just like, oh, geez, I'm glad you're covering that stuff because I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that because it's so volatile. You got people walking around there just whacked out of their minds. And so, we'd cover that story, but it is not safe. An ABC News reporter admitted he was advised against appearing live in downtown San Francisco for his Good Morning America segment due to the rise in crime on Wednesday. It's not the rise on crime. It's the crime. It's not safe. Period. Not safe in the Tenderloin or areas around it. And that's what I've covered here is just podcast after podcast after podcast of stores with proximity to this area because it's just been a known open air drug market. And when you've got that, you've got all the homelessness issues you've got going on. You know, genie's out of the bottle, I always say. You're not going to be able to put that back very easily because those addicts are whacked out of their mind on drugs. And you do not have a homelessness problem. You have a drug addiction problem. So, you know, how's this going to get better? Well, I mean, there's always people. And one of my other podcasts today is, check this out. Retail experts predict downtown and the Westfield Mall recovery might be in 2024. Well, by my account, it's June of 2023. That would be in less than 6 months. And you're talking about a recovery and ABC News will not go there because it's dangerous. Which one is it, folks? You got to pick one because it's not both. We got a recovery happening, but ABC, they ain't coming down here because it's too dangerous, right? So I'm going to be talking about that. But what that is, what the retail experts predict downtown, I mean, that kind of article is just real estate people blowing smoke. And I would know all about that because I'm a real estate guy and that's what we do. Right? You got to sell. You got to sell. So if you got a property in a tough area, enormous upside potential. I mean, this is a diamond in the rough. This is an opportunity for the right person with the right mindset. They can make a mint. This is the opportunity of your lifetime. If you want to take advantage of it, I am sure you can work out a way that, you can navigate all the crime going on and all the boarded up stores. I mean, that's just opportunity waiting to happen. Never mind the feces on the sidewalk, the needles and the people running around that make it really unsafe and all the homeless folks. Don't worry about them. The store break-ins, that's what insurance is for. Opportunity. Think opportunity. Don't think negativity. Never mind the other 45 straight stores that have left this area. This is for you. This is for you. Would you like to make an offer? How about that? Would you like to make an offer? Because I think I can get you a screaming deal on this. Yeah. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman reported on the news that Westfield Mall would be shutting down, one of the latest in a series of major store closings in the city. Though the shopping center cited a decline in sales and foot traffic as the reason, that is the reason. What's the reason for the decline in foot traffic? What's the reason for the decline in traffic? What's that reason? Because that's just the physical, right? What is the reason behind it? What's the truth behind it? You got a bunch of nut jobs running around running the city, and leadership isn't willing to step up and do anything about it. One of my other topics today is going to be Mayor London Breed. She's kind of throwing out some hardball ideas, and you got some supervisors in San Francisco that are like, according to the studies, this would impact people of color. And it's like, well, everybody's being impacted right now. So what are you going to do? Be interesting to see how this all goes down, right? So though the shopping center decided a decline in sales and foot traffic is the reason, Gutman noted that San Francisco was at risk of becoming a so-called zombie city due to a rise in robberies and the ongoing fentanyl crisis. At risk of becoming a so-called zombie city, it's there. It's there already. And that's why we've had such a shutdown of business over the last, it really started going hard during the pandemic, right? And I think during the pandemic, it was difficult to tell what's pandemic related, what is just this scenario that's been growing, which is the whole drug crisis. And then I think during the pandemic, it became really apparent that fentanyl was behind a lot of this, because the drugs that folks are taking now, it's not your daddy's heroin. Let's just say that, right? Maybe we should say it's not your grandparents' heroin. I don't know. Yeah, something. It's not granny's heroin. It's the good stuff. It's the good stuff, not that crap stuff that guy down the street selling. In fact, Gutman remarked that his crew had been told not to film in the area of downtown San Francisco because of the location being too dangerous at 4 a.m. Well, most people are asleep at 4 a.m., right? So what's going on? What do you got going on in the streets of San Fran at 4 a.m.? Shenanigans. That's what you got. Hey, we've got a merch line out now. You want to check that out? Should be a link in the description. Hopefully there's a link in the description. I always say that and I'm like, I have no idea if it's there or not, but yeah, you can check it out. No, we've got people buying a bunch of stuff. And we're also going to bring back the Seattle Real Estate Podcast mug. We've got that. So you can buy that. I know a lot of people have requested that. Can I get that Seattle Real Estate mug? Mine broke. So yeah, we've got that going on. It's a little retro and that's what makes it cool, right? Because the Seattle Real Estate Podcast, we're not doing that, but we're doing a version of that. So thanks for being here. Yeah, we've got San Francisco ice cream shop robbed twice in one morning. Owner forced to toss gallons of product. And just stories like that left and right. AT&T announced yesterday they're pulling their flagship store out of San Fran. But hey, visit us at all of our other locations. Not quite as close to the Tenderloin as our flagship one. Yeah, that one's, we're all done there. Yeah, we need to reimagine and rethink closing that store down, which we're doing August 1, because we're out of here, because this isn't making any sense. Too dangerous. A lot of this has to do with employee safety. Think about your employees going to work. Think about your employees walking on the street to get lunch. Think about, just all this exposure that you have. And so corporate America they don't appreciate their employees being killed. And I don't know if you know that, but it's not a good look. So when you've had instance after instance after instance at the Westfield Mall of just crazy stuff going on, a lot of companies, and that is outside of how much, they're selling each month. Sales figures have just been coming down, down, down. And Westfield Mall, if you don't know that one, if you haven't been following this podcast, the owner of the Westfield Mall is basically giving it back to the lender. The mall is now about 55% occupied, meaning it's half empty. And things are not going well. Things are not going well. And you've had just storyline after storyline after storyline that basically, hinge on the fact that you've got some crime metrics that are not going in the right direction for San Fran and a lot of other cities as well. Seattle, perfect example. Portland, and you got crazy stories coming out of Portland. It's just that right now, I think San Fran has even the crazier because they're so much more notable, and a lot of it's from a business standpoint. And that's what I like to cover because it's like you can't argue with it. Either the store is closed or it's not. And right now, we are having so many stores close, and it's because of terrible policy and it's because of terrible political leadership. And folks are saying, we don't want to operate a store here. We're not going to shop here. Those things, pretty obvious. What happens then? The store closes down. The mayor noting that several metrics of crime are actually flat or down, but it's worth mentioning that we are not at Union Square or the Westfield Mall this morning. This is the quote from the news guy. Because we have been advised it's simply too dangerous to be there at this hour, 4 a.m. in the morning. It should be fine. It should be fine, right? No, that's the drug hour. It's crazy drug hour. Crazy drug hour. That's saying a lot there, host Michael Strahan commented back in the studio. That's saying a lot there. Yeah, you can't go there. Michael had it right. He called it as well. Oftentimes, if you have a situation like this on major media, a national show, they don't want to hone in on the fact that, not good. Like Detroit all back in the day. Yeah, I mean, it's an opportunity for improvement. Things are not going as planned, but we see that there's a lot of potential because we've rethought and we've reimagined a lot of different approaches to public safety here in Detroit. And we hope things get better. That ultimate positive spin. This one, not so much. Yeah, ain't going there. We're not reporting from there. Gutman also spoke with Mayor London Breed on reports of several retailers and businesses leaving the city and questioned her on whether San Francisco was considered dangerous. Well, here's the thing. San Francisco is a major city and it has challenges. Is that what we're calling them? All right. Yep. But let's back up a little bit. You're talking about people leaving the city, but not the people who are staying, expanding, coming to San Francisco, Breed said. No, because the vast majority are leaving. They're going the other way. But this is the mayor. She's from there, born and raised there. She's going to go down with the ship, right? She is talking tough. She's talking tough. You know what? Some people would say Rudy Giuliani talked tough back in the day. Then he backed it up. And Mayor Breed, she's touting some arrests. And then you got these knuckleheads who are like, yeah, but that impacts a certain number of people and we don't want that. And so what are you really going to do about the crime? She asked. That's how you get San Francisco to be a hive of criminal activity with knuckleheads like that who don't understand. Hey, you got to arrest some folks. Doesn't matter what color they are. You got to arrest some folks and throw them in jail. You got to clean up the streets a little bit. You got to get to the point where people are like, yeah, I don't want to be here doing criminal activity at the levels that are going on where a major news crew can't report at 4 a.m. on a city street. I mean, I remember back in the day, and I really appreciate all the stories that you guys send me of your experiences. Maybe you're a little bit older than I am, where you've told me what it was like to be in New York City when you were young, maybe getting your career going along those lines, and what that transition was like having Rudy Giuliani come in and basically clean house. You know, the whole broken window theory. You start with that and you get rid of the graffiti and you arrest people. They were approaching it basically from an arrest standpoint. San Francisco is going to be taking an arrest and services. We're going to get people the help that they need because there's no way you can go in and just arrest all these folks and not basically have a revolt on your hands. Although public safety would be impacted positively. But people in San Francisco, I think a lot of them don't give a rat's ass. I mean, how about this? How about Chesa Boudin getting a job running the law center at UC Berkeley? He's going to run the law center. What? Him? I mean, that's how we get here, right? Knuckleheads like him that I was reading a story this morning. They were saying there's a very tiny vocal majority that ousted him from district attorney of San Francisco. And you're like, no, that was pretty much the city, even the city of San Francisco and the liberal inhabitants that vote there said, this is not going in the right direction. This ain't going in the right direction. So today's story is just one more affirmation of it didn't go in the right direction. They were right to throw out Chesa Boudin. You need to drop the hammer. You need to go after crime and those who are doing it, no matter who they are. But are we there yet? Is it going to happen? That's kind of the question of the hour, right? The Mayor Breed is, she's talking tough. Let's see if she backs it up. In April, robberies were up by 11.4%, with homicides rising by 83% in San Francisco since last year. That's not good. That's not good. And if we had a true handle on crime, I think people would be absolutely shocked because we see the stories that are happening as a result of this, but we don't see the data because, people aren't reporting criminal activity. They're just not. There's been so many instances of it that people don't have the time to do it anymore. They don't have the time or the inclination. Well, then that's their problem. It is. And we're talking about it. Heritage Foundation senior legal fellow and former San Francisco prosecutor Charles Cully Stimson also warned Fox News Digital that even crime statistics in the city could be misleading. 100% true. Crime is worse than the data shows, Stimson said. People do not report these crimes because you have a DA who's pro-criminal and not going to enforce the law. The cops aren't going to go out and arrest somebody when they know the case is going to be no papered. We've read that comment before, but that is absolutely what you got going on. It's not just out of left field that ABC News is like, I don't think so. Yeah, we've been advised not to go there. This is in San Francisco, one of the, in the past, premium North American cities. I mean, it's had so much going for it. And in certain areas, the vacancy rate is very low, but it's not near the Tenderloin. It's not in that downtown core. And that's what's really impacting San Fran right now. Westfield's Mall's closing followed several prominent businesses, including Nordstrom, Old Navy, and Whole Foods, announcing that they would be shutting down stores in San Fran. Twitter CEO Elon Musk remarked on the concerns his own employees have coming to downtown San Francisco for work Wednesday. You know, many Twitter employees feel unsafe coming to work in downtown San Francisco and have had their car windows smashed, Musk tweeted. He's been pretty open about, hey, San Francisco is a train wreck. It's a dumpster fire, period. And people are like, oh, geez, did he say that? He's also not paying rent because he's like, no, I'm not paying rent for this building. Go after yourselves. Which, I mean, that is one response when you're formerly one of the world's wealthiest men. You can do that. But, you know, they tend to say, you got to pay your rent at some point in time. So there's that whole thing, right? But Elon has a little different approach to business. They also, this is from Elon. They also got such a null response from the police that they rarely even bother reporting crimes anymore because nothing happens. That is what you're seeing across the West Coast. East Coast, okay. To me, because of the whole lax policy on drugs that Seattle has, Portland has, San Fran, LA, that's why you've got this whole deal where it's just like, it's like the guy who murdered or allegedly murdered the woman here in Seattle. He came here from Illinois. How come? He's a convicted felon. Why did he come here? All the way across, from Illinois. Not Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. Sorry, not Chicago, Illinois. I'm not sure where he's from there, but convicted felon comes here, murders somebody and admits it. He says, I did it. He said that out loud. Like the guy's whacked out of his mind and he probably won't be convicted of murder because he probably won't stand trial. He'll be a one-way trip in about a year to a mental institution as space opens up because we don't have any space here in Washington for our nut jobs. We just leave them in jail for a while and then we pay them thousands of dollars because that's what politicians are doing here in Seattle and in Washington. And then we wonder, how come that poor lady got capped on the street going to work with her husband and she was 8 months pregnant? God, how'd that happen? Tricky. Yeah, tricky. But don't worry. Crime's down. Yeah, the stats. Look at the stats. Crime's down. Tell that to that family. Tell that to that dad coming this Father's Day. Right? I mean, not good. Not good at all. So that's what we got today. Kind of one more indication. All right. Yeah, this isn't safe. This is why all these businesses are leaving. It's not foot traffic. It's not the retail apocalypse. It's not high rent. It's not poverty. Because there's a lot of cities that are poor that do not have this kind of thing going on, right? Where you've just got businesses leaving an epic shopping center left and right. And then we've got the politicians that are responsible for this trying to spin it with these crazy ideas of let's convert the space. One of my podcasts yesterday was, let's take the Westfield Mall. And this is Mayor London Breed. Let's take the Westfield Mall. Let's reimagine it. Let's rethink it into lab space. If you want to see that podcast, I just basically shredded that one. That's a terrible idea. Any of these conversion ideas of the mall or any of this space into anything other than the original space it was developed as doesn't pencil. It's not feasible. You can't financially make it go because you need to scrape the building as the cheapest option to whatever you're going to do. And if you do that, that means you need to get the land at less than the cost of the dirt to have that profit margin in there, to have incentive to do that. Anything short of that, it's not going to happen. Because retrofitting these complexes, retrofitting an entire mall, let's make the mall into, housing for whatever. All right. Good luck with that. You need to knock it down start over with tiny homes or whatever it is you're going to do. But converting a 5-story mall, the Westfield Mall that we're talking about, where ABC won't go, conversion of that into anything other than a mall or a really similar use like that it's not feasible, and it's not going to happen. You've just got wishful thinking because folks need to point to something other than the absolute train wreck of what they've got going on in their hands. They created it. It continues. Reporters aren't going there. Malls are giving up their buildings. Just, no thanks, don't want it. You, Mr. Lender, you, Mrs. Lender, you take it. That's what we got going on. That's what's happening in San Fran. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to check out the merch. Description and the link below. Thanks again. We'll catch up soon. Bye now.